Old school Paul, new school Justin. Man, y'all still going to school though. Sit down, listen up. Father, son, y'all think it's just another one. Fade the Vader, they be grading players, all it's done is made the piper pay me, and they've been grinding lately. Up late, hit the waivers, don't hate the player, hate me. It's just a Game Boy, never gifted one on Christmas. Instead I asked for ships to hit everything off my wish list. Check the litmus, do y'all really not get this? Hit this triangular shaped button, I don't want you to miss this. But I guess that's really none of my business. Me risky free, cruise with Paul and Justin just listening. Yards after contact and catch, that's a lot of distance. The kind of info make me wanna blow opponents' kisses. But I gotta be clear, there was one key difference. Relationship is deep in this vein of ellipses. Like how Justin agreed to washing all the dishes. I'm just grateful Paul turned the miss into the misses. Father, son, pie, get down on the get down. If you don't get it now, then get out. Father, son, pie, sit down and get rich now. If you're not feeling it now, then get out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Father-Son Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Paul.
My name is Justin, and the honor is ours, Dad. We are joined by Dan LaMagna. What's going on, Dan?
What's up, Dan?
Man, pleasure to join you gentlemen here. I'm always enjoying listening to you guys bicker and talking shop with Justin all the time. It's great to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, so Dan's in one of my dynasty leagues. He's also now writing for FF Statistics, getting his foot in the industry and the analysis section. So, Dad.
He's in our subscriber league, too.
I was going to say, I'm 1-0 against you, by the way.
You know, kid, you're going to keep bringing that up.
I beat you last week, and I'm going to beat
I don't
Dan
blame
this
you.
week.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
What?
I got another guy hurt again.
Who you got hurt, dude?
Hunter Henry, hurt in practice today.
Yeah.
Out.
It sucks.
Tyreek Hill, out. I just can't get a break in this league.
You're getting lots of breaks.
You
You're
know,
getting the collarbone break. You're getting the tibia break.
All the guys in the league are going to find out how strong my bench is. That's all. Hopefully, I don't go 0-2 this week because I'm going to need some bench help this week.
Who's your backup tight end?
I don't know. I got too many leagues. And the other one I have him in, I have Hooper as my backup.
Ah, there you go. Hooper's not a bad backup.
No, subscriber league. I'll find it.
That's all right. So I'm going against Dan this week, Dad. I want you to tell me who you think's going to win. So we're both 1-0, unlike you, who's 0-1. You know, we're in the top of the league right now. I'm in third place. Dan's in fifth place, and Cam Newton is going to bounce back this week, Dan, you think?
I have options, which is good here. I got the hot hand of Dak Prescott or Cam Newton bouncing back. I might ride, a little bit of a Cowboys homer here, but I'm going to go with the hot hand, I think, against you with Dak this week and have a little fun.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
I
Dak,
got
definitely
Greg
good.
Olson as my backup.
Yeah, there you go. He's an every down tight end. We'll get into those games.
I'm going to look at your guys right now.
Yeah. So you got Dalvin Cook.
He's got you beating running backs by far. He's got Delvin Cook, Carson. Got Hilton. Schuster's going to bounce back.
Yes.
Waller is tight end.
Yep.
Dude, you're going down. You got Beckham, who's wearing a stupid watch now on the field. What's up with that? I'm going to keep wearing this. Who wears a watch on a football field?
Odell Beckham Jr. wears watches on the football field.
What is that, to see how many miles he's running in the field or
you
what?
gotta check the time occasionally.
You know, I mean, come on. Yeah, you're going down.
You heard it, Justin.
You don't believe
Dan, you better put a defense in, Dan. You don't have a defense in.
It's okay.
I just picked them up. I got the Rams defense ready to roll.
I'm trying to help you out. Don't lose.
Good looking.
Listen, my team doesn't look good on paper, and right now, if I can keep this win streak going, I'll have Miles Sanders coming in week 4 or 5 when he gets all the snaps, and I'll be taking over. You watch.
Okay, we'll see.
That's the hopeful thing.
Don't count me out yet. You did.
No, you're already out. You're already out.
Don't count me out.
Your team's trash.
I'm gonna have Greg Olson's gonna get a foot massage before the game to help me out.
Oh my gosh.
Another injured guy. I got all injured players again. What the freak?
You gotta draft better, dude. You should listen to this podcast.
I drafted good. You can't help injuries. Injuries will find you, right? You don't go looking for injuries. They come and find you.
When it rains, it pours,
That's
dude.
the name of the game.
When it rains, it pours.
Speaking of injuries, I have Jordan Reed on my bench. If he gets cleared from the concussion protocol, Paul, I'll be happy to trade him.
Dad, you want Jordan Reed? On live on podcast trade, you want Jordan Reed, Dad?
No, because Vernon Davis had a pretty good game. And I love Jordan Reed last year. He's always hurt, but, I mean, I'm open to any offer, so send them my way.
I'll give it a look.
If you thought Bart was hard to trade with, you're dealing with someone even more difficult to trade
Dude,
with.
you're
than my
you're
dad.
the one who's impossible to trade
No,
with.
no. I get offers out there. We get them done.
Yeah, you get offers, all right.
Anyway, we're doing a week one recap today. We're gonna go through each game and give you guys a little takeaway from each one. Trying not to make it too long. Trying to make it concise as possible. So, without further ado, Dad, we're gonna start with the Monday night game. Raiders, Broncos. I mean, you could take it away. Just tell me what you want to tell them. What happened in this game? What'd you see? What'd you like about it?
Well, the Broncos definitely used a running back by committee, right? Both guys got a little bit of work in the ball. Nothing really stood out as far as they're concerned. Flacco had a nice stat. He was 21 of 31 for 268 yards and a touchdown. But considering the matchup, I thought he should have had a better game than he did. On the other side of the ball, Jacobs is a beast. I mean, the guy, they just fed him. He kept running the ball. He looked good. Even Derek Carr looked pretty good in that game, right? And the tight end Waller had some good stats in the game. But the guy we're mostly concerned with is my guy, Tyler Williams.
Tyrell, bro. You can't say
I know.
Tyler.
I always say the wrong name. That's okay. I've been praising this guy in the whole offseason. So off on Antonio Brown. I love it when I'm right, which isn't a lot, but so far in preseason, I've been right about a lot of different things. And Tyrell Williams is one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, he was explosive. He had six catches for 105 yards and a touchdown. That's a nice debut for him.
Yeah, he looked
I got to
good.
start him instead of Tyreek Hill in one of my leagues, so I'm okay with that.
It's not a bad start going against Kansas City this week. Should be a little bit of a shootout. Dan, what'd you think about that game?
Yeah, I'll stick up for you here, Paul. Justin mentioned you're a big Tyrell Williams fan, and I was stubborn enough to stay up really late and watch this game and go on 5 hours sleep for work the next day. And Tyrell Williams looked like a true number one receiver in that game. The Raiders really surprised me. I had the Broncos defense in some DFS lates in the evening, and they disappointed. So I really like the Raiders. I think they're a team to watch between Tyrell Williams. Darren Waller looked like an outstanding tight end. I think he's in for a really good season. And Carr looked decent. And on the Broncos side, to your point, Paul, it was a running back by committee. I think they really tried to get Lindsey going. I was a little disappointed he came off the field sometimes. I think he'll be okay this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that running back. I mean, both of them guys are talented. We've seen that last year. And last year we thought Freeman was going to be the guy, and it was Lindsey's the guy. So this year in the whole offseason, they're saying they were giving Freeman more work in the passing game and everything. And so then they come out and use a running back by committee. So I'm not sure what they're doing. If it's going to stay that way or they're just going to go with the hot hand maybe.
One last note on that game would be Joe Flacco. He threw for 268 yards and had some nice throws to Sutton. But other than those few nice throws to Sutton, the ball was leaving his hand late. I wasn't impressed with him. I think he's a concern.
Yeah, I will say. So I'm going to talk about something called WOPR. It's WOPR, stands for Weighted Opportunity Rating. And Darren Waller was third among all tight ends this week in WOPR. So that balances team share of targets and team share of air yards. Third among all tight ends, and he played on 100% of snaps. This dude is the late round tight end breakout that people look for in drafts, and he looks to be the part, especially in week one. And then Tyrell Williams, you're right, Dad. The dude's good.
I wish I got him in every league. I tried to get him in every league. I was getting him in the 14th, 15th round. It was fantastic. A couple rounds, a couple different leagues. Some guys sniped him in the 11th and 12th round, which is good for them. I mean, they reached for him and he made out for him on week one. Hopefully he can continue.
Yeah, and then he was also third among all wide receivers behind only DeAndre Hopkins and Sammy Watkins and WOPR. So this guy's going to be used in the passing game too and could be that guy to be fed, and I'm looking for him in DFS lineups this week. I will say, though, you should have got him in every draft. I don't know why you didn't, because after round 10, ADP does not matter. You should have just went and got your guy around 10 every time. Doesn't even matter. You should have just grabbed him.
I agree with you.
Now, other Monday night game, the one that was really fun to watch was the New Orleans Saints hosted the Houston Texans, and I love Deshaun Watson. I think Dan also likes Deshaun Watson a lot. But Dan, I'll start with you. What's your takeaways from this game right here?
The biggest takeaways is Carlos Hyde was surprisingly flashed. I mean, I think everybody loved Deshaun Watson. Him and Drew Brees, two awesome quarterbacks that night. Michael Thomas and Nuke were themselves. But Carlos Hyde surprised me. Looked really good. Duke Johnson still has potential. I mean, he looked a little lost at times. I don't know if he needs to be in the playbook a little bit more. But that'd be my biggest takeaway. If you're looking for a running back, I could see Carlos Hyde filling that Lamar Miller role, 1,000 yards, maybe get some goal line touchdowns. And I think just that offense is still so explosive that Duke Johnson has good value as well.
Yeah. Duke Johnson, he looked not awful, and Carlos Hyde looked better than I thought Carlos Hyde would ever look. So I'm hoping Carlos Hyde comes back down to earth and shows who he really is, which is just a jag. I'm not a Carlos Hyde guy. But snap share, Duke Johnson played 63% of the snaps, Carlos Hyde 37%. I think you're going to see a timeshare regardless, and I'm happy if I said this on the other podcast that we just released yesterday. I'm happy if Duke Johnson gets over 175 plus touches. I'm not expecting this guy to be a workhorse. I wish they would try to give him the workhorse role and see how he does with it, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But I'm happy with anything over 175 touches on the year. But, DeAndre Hopkins looks like the wide receiver one so far. 216 air yards in week one, led all NFL receivers. And both these offenses look like to be really good for fantasy purposes. And we lost Scott Fishbowl, Ted Ginn, on his last catch to set up field goal, and I was really mad about that. So
those are the heartbreaks. Hey, on another note, my keeper league, excuse me, I was up by 19 points, and he had Breeze in Houston, and I had Will Lutz, the kicker. So right away, I lost. Breeze is going to torch him up. He's got Houston's D. I'm going to lose. Well, let me tell you, I won by 0.27 points on that 58-yard field goal by Lutz because his Houston defense got 0. And, I mean, Breeze had a good game. I mean, it was 32 of 43 for 370, 2 touchdowns and interception, but I'm thankful for that 58-yard kick. Even though nobody uses kickers anymore, but this league, they use a kicker, which I'm surprised. And I don't take kicker or defense to the last 2 rounds, and I just picked Lutz because he's a dome kicker.
Yeah.
and he won me the first week, which I thought was going to be a loss. So that was surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hyde was, I think he had 10 carries for 80 yards, something like that.
He ran hard. He looked impressive. That the O-line still has issues.
Yeah.
I mean, that puts Duke Johnson on the field a lot in those passing situations, which
Yeah.
is nice. And Ted Ginn is even still relevant. I was surprised how much volume he got.
Well, the Saints got a lot of targets to throw to, too. Any one of them guys can be a star at any day. I mean, he's got a lot of weapons there.
Very true.
Very true. So the next game.
And I knew Duke Johnson wouldn't be the workhorse back. He's
got 63% of snaps. That's pretty good compared to 37%. Like
it is, but he's not going to be their workhorse.
It's
he's
one
going to
game.
be used
We'll
more
see.
in the passing game. He'll get
carries.
I think both of them running backs have value in that offense.
It's looking like a 65-35 split, which I like the favor of Duke Johnson. We'll see what happens as time shapes up. But week one, Carlos Hyde did look good. And like I said, I hope he goes back down to earth where he should be going, in my opinion. But Sunday night game, not a good game at all. You saw the Patriots just murder the Steelers. It wasn't fun at all. They don't even need Antonio Brown. But
no.
Takeaways from this game is buy low on all Steelers offensive players. Buy low on James Conner. Buy low on Juju Smith-Schuster if possible. Like, I would send out just a fair offer for him and try to get him because it's not going to be like this every single week. He's not going to be shadowed by Stephon Gilmore, who's the second best corner according to PFF. But any takeaways from this game, Dad, that really jumped out at you other than Randy Moss?
Yeah, I'll tell you a takeout that I can't stand is that's 2 years in a row I took a running back from the Patriots and got last year I took who was his name? He had 3 touchdowns in week 1.
2 years ago he took Mike Gillisley.
I took him 3 touchdowns the first week, and then he let me down the rest of the year. This year, who do I take? Sony Michel. What does he do? 14 carries for 15 yards. Come on, really?
He'll be fine.
That's my take of that game. I mean, Brady's the best quarterback to ever play the game. He doesn't make mistakes. That system is so good. I mean, they're going to be tough to beat again, and their defense is very good. Their defense is underrated, I think.
The best defense they've had in a while, for sure. But Dan, what do you think about this game? What do you think about we'll talk about the Patriots in general?
Patriots are scary looking. They were awesome.
Not good.
I mean, I was disappointed. I think everyone was expecting a great football game between them and the Steelers. Disappointed in the Steelers coaching. I think they just got taken out of their game plan because I expected a lot more of James Conner. 3rd and 1, Conner gets them there with a nice little run, and then they abandon it and kick a field goal. But I do agree with your takes, Justin. Just buy low on the Steelers. I think Conner will bounce back. Juju will bounce back. A little concerned about their other receivers. Ben just couldn't quite connect with James Washington. Hopefully, maybe, he was one of my preseason sleepers, James Washington. They said he's in great shape. So I'm going to keep an eye on those guys. And then the Patriots, it's just seeing how things play out with Antonio Brown here, whether that dips in other guys. Philip Dorsett with 95 yards and 2 touchdowns was kind of interesting, but that could change right away. Typical Patriots football.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about Pittsburgh at all. I mean, they're going to bounce back. Them guys aren't going to get shut out like they did there. Like Dan said, they just were they're off their game. Maybe out coached a little bit, but they'll be back.
yeah, Mike Tomlin's not the best in-game manager in my opinion, which kind of sucks to see. But he's not really good at making adjustments on the fly. But Juju's the guy who's gonna get targeted every week, and I'd say buy low on him, buy low on Connor, like I said, because they took Connor out of the game when it got out of hand. Because what's the point of having this guy in there? Now,
Yeah.
next game I want to talk about that is 49ers Buccaneers.
Oh,
Not a fun game. I'm a Dante Pettis guy, and he only played 2 snaps. That's not good.
no.
Didn't look good. Kyle Shanahan said that he has health issues. That's why he missed a week of practice. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm a firm hold on Dante Pettis. Debo Samuel played 88% of the snaps. I think he's a good guy. Yet if you got in a waiver wire for $1 or $2, if he's still there, I would rather have him than a Marquise Brown or a John Ross kind of guy because you're gonna get him cheaper and save more fab. But the big takeaway for me is that George Kittle is going to George Kittle, and I'd buy low if you could because he had 2 touchdowns called back. So 10 targets, a 37% target share from Jimmy Garoppolo, who people this offseason were saying, oh, he doesn't throw his tight ends. No, he's going to throw to George Kittle, and the only times he looked successful on Sunday was when he got the ball to George Kittle. And then on the Buccaneers side, 91% of the snaps Chris Godwin played, and he had a tough matchup in the slot. So I think this is a perfect buy low opportunity for Chris Godwin because his next 3 weeks, as Debro pointed out on Twitter, they're cake matchups and he's going to eat. So this is probably your last chance to buy low on Chris Godwin if you can. And he's a guy I'm trying to get in the leagues I don't have him in. What about you, Dan? What did you think about this game? Not a fun game to watch, but takeaways from it?
I think the only thing maybe you didn't mention, Justin, would be the Tampa Bay running back situation. Ronald Jones flashed the most, I think, out of all the running backs. I think it's just a matter of time before Barber's carries shrink. Jones, he looked good as the game went along, so hopefully he'll pop up and maintain that. But Kittle's awesome. Debo Samuel's popping up a little bit more. I think the Bucs will be better as they go. And I know I have Godwin in the fishbowl, so hopefully he does pick it up.
What are you, Dad?
Yeah, I agree. The Bucs will get better. I mean, Winston had a train wreck of a game. He did get robbed of 2 touchdowns in the end zone. They were wiped out by penalties where he was thrown to Cameron Brate. But I mean, he was just terrible. He didn't crack the 200-yard mark. And the biggest takeaway from this is all the praise in the preseason of O.J. Howard, how O.J. Howard was ready to emerge as a top 5 tight end. He was a dud. He did nothing.
I was surprised.
I mean, you can't get. We said this in yesterday's podcast. You can't get nervous yet. It's only week 1, right? A lot of guys didn't play in preseason and this and that. So I mean, it's week 1. It is what it is, and you got to see what they do. Don't get nervous yet on your guys that everyone likes. So
yeah,
there's more games to be played, but O.J. Howard was a dud. He only had 4 receptions for 32 yards.
yeah.
All the hype on him, and that's a little bit of a
Don't
shock.
panic.
But things
That's
will
the
get
big
better.
thing. Week 1, good advice from my dad right there.
Right.
Don't panic after week 1. The only concerning thing about O.J. Howard, this is an O.J. Howard truther myself, and he just ran a route on 55% of Winston's dropbacks, whereas Brate was still involved and ran a route on 48%. So it's not ideal, but I'm hoping that they can hopefully, give some more targets to O.J. Howard. But Jameis Winston looked bad, but he's going to have those Jameis Winston games
Right.
where he just looks like crap. So I'm hoping a bounce back
Right.
week this Thursday against Carolina. I don't mind Jameis Winston starting him. If you have better options, obviously go there, but Jameis Winston's not a bad option this week. Next game, which is also a really surprising game, was the fact that the Bengals were able to keep up with the Seahawks. Seahawks won by 1 point, 21-20. As a Tyler Lockett guy, Tyler Lockett, no targets at all until later in the first half, and then he finally got his first target first target was in the first play of the fourth quarter, and it was a 44-yard touchdown. So I was waiting. And of course, he had his 1 catch and 1 target for a touchdown. And then he was targeted again on the next drive and had the worst drop I've ever seen Tyler Lockett have. He didn't have any drops last year, but he would have had a solid game. Those were only 2 targets. Brian Schottenheimer went run heavy again, and I don't like seeing that. A little concerning. So I'm firing up Tyler Lockett this week in DFS. I'm happy to start him in all my leagues because he's on the road at Pittsburgh, and they're going to have to throw the ball to keep up with Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's going to come back a little vengeance after getting their butt whooped by the Patriots. But Chris Carson, the last thing I'm going to add is Chris Carson. They said they're going to give him more passing work this offseason, and it looks like they're going to do that. He had led the team, actually, with 7 targets. And he also had 2 green zone rushing attempts, which is inside the 10-yard line. So I do like seeing that usage from Chris Carson. And I'm still surprised that Bengals were able to keep up with the Seahawks. That just shows you how bad Seahawks defense is. So this week, Big Ben's going to probably light it up. And Juju's going to be full go, and so is James Conner. But, Dad, what were your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna praise Stompy here. Stompy loved Chris Carson. I love him so much. I took him in one league, and he had 15 rushes for 46 yards with a touchdown. He had 6 receptions for 35 yards and a touchdown. So what I feel is he's probably the single most underrated player in fantasy right now. His production in the passing game, I believe, is gonna elite him maybe into a top 10 fantasy running back. So that's the biggest takeout on that one. So props up to you, Stompy. If you got Chris Carson in your league, you're going to do great things with him. On the other side of the ball, I'm going to say if you have John Ross, sell high on him, because I don't think Cincinnati's going to do this even though I picked him up on the waiver wire in one of my leagues, I would still sell high on him. He had 7 receptions for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Not the guy we thought was going to come out of that offense, right? We thought it was Tyler Boyd with Green being out.
Yeah. So Green actually is out of a walking boot today, and he's on the route. He's running some, running around on the field. But I think John Ross, he's not going to be a viable fantasy option every week, but I think he's a good boom-bust flex play.
Sure.
You saw Zach Taylor come in from the Rams, and he's running 11 personnel, which means 3 wide receivers. And I think John Ross is that Brandon Cooks kind of guy. He's going to be that field stretcher. He's going to get some targets down the middle. And Andy Dalton looked better than I thought he was going to do. And I don't think A.J. Green coming back is going to hurt him as much as people think. But, boom bust. Expect those bust weeks. You expect the 2 catches for 30 yards weeks with John Ross. But I put $65 in for him in the listener league, and I secured him.
For $65?
I said I don't even care. Just waiver wire is so thin.
Oh, my God.
I just went in and got him. I don't know how much we both.
$65?
I put $65 in for John Ross.
I think you're out of money in the listener
What's
league.
your thoughts on that, Dan?
It's a little bit rich for me there for John Ross. I mean, I definitely had some shots at him on the waiver wire, but that's a little hashtag too rich for me, as Adam Levitan often says. But you guys covered the Bengals really well. They definitely were surprising. John Ross is reborn. Hopefully he works out well for you, Justin. On the Seattle side, I think the only thing I would add is keep an eye on DK Metcalf. I mean, he came back really quick from that injury and looked well. And, outside of Lockett, who do they have to throw to? I remember Russell Wilson quoting, I think it was on draft day, that people have no idea. He's really excited to have DK Metcalf. I think he's a guy to watch.
Yeah. I don't like the $65 for John Ross either, honestly. It's a little too rich for me, too. But I just said, you know what? Who cares? No qualms. I'm going all in. I'm just going to get the guy because the waiver wire is looking really, really thin in this league, and I was just taking my chances.
Yeah, I was looking on there today to try to get some guys because there's just really not a lot.
That's why I put
especially after last night.
Yeah.
After the waiver wires last night,
So next game I want to go to real quick is the game that started off bad for my Kyler Murray futurism. The Cardinals-Lions. They ended up in a tie. Dan, what are your thoughts about this game? What'd you see? Anything promising? Anything you're concerned about?
This was a fun game to watch as it went along. I mean, the Lions looked like I kind of thought they were a sneaky team going into the season. They seem to have a lot of weapons, but then they just become the Detroit Lions again and blow a game to the Cardinals. But Hawkinson looks like a wide receiver. I mean, he looked excellent. So that was very reassuring. I'm very high on him this year. Matthew Stafford, 385, 3 touchdowns, looked well. He looked healthy. And, but I don't know how much of that is also attributed to the Cardinals just having a very poor defense. This was a smash spot for the Lions, and they executed. Hawkinson would be my biggest takeaway. I'm really high on him this season. And the Cardinals, we'll see as they play other teams. Kyler Murray flashed a little bit at the end. Everybody's excited about Kyler Murray. Christian Kirk came around a little bit, but I need to see more of the Cardinals.
Now, I want to ask you, Kerryon Johnson, any concerns about him? People took him in the 3rd round of drafts, only played 57% of the snaps, and they were using J.D. McKissick, C.J. Anderson, and all that. So what are your thoughts about Kerryon Johnson moving forward?
Yeah, it's just anytime he becomes like a 3-headed monster, and I think there was another Lions running back, a 3rd down back, a rookie that's eluding me right now, Justin.
Ty Johnson?
Yeah. He's looked really good in the preseason. So I'm a little bit concerned about sharing reps and that kind of thing. Again, I need to see more Kerryon Johnson, but it would have to be matchup specific to play him in DFS or start him in the league.
Yeah. What about you, Dad? What's your thoughts about this game and Kerryon Johnson? I know you said one of your guys this season was Kerryon Johnson. Why don't we start there? You a little nervous?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm a little worried.
Okay.
I'm a little worried. I can't lie. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what's going to happen in there. I thought he was the talk of the whole preseason. He was the guy they're going to use. He's the guy going to catch balls out of the backfield, and then they go ahead and use 3 guys. So, I mean, like I said, it's week 1. Am I a little bit concerned? Yep. I'd like to see what happens in week 2 before I decide what to do there. But I'm on Dan. I've been saying in our dynasty league in the rookie draft, there's only one guy I wanted, and that was the tight end, Hawkinson. So I agree with Dan there. I mean, he had 6 receptions for 131 yards, 1 touchdown on 9 targets. So rookie tight ends usually never produce, but I think TJ is going to be an exception. I think he's going to be very well. You know, David Johnson looked well.
Wow.
18 rushes, 82 yards, 6 receptions, 55 yards, and a touchdowns. Fitzgerald looked very good. He had over 100 yards, 113 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Stafford looked well. I mean, Stafford was, 27 for 45, 385 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So he should be able to produce like this when he plays a poor defense, which Arizona has a poor defense. So he ate them up. So he's a good QB to stream if you need a streaming QB on matchups alone, because you can play him when he plays against a bad defense, and I think he'll do very well for you.
Yeah. So I think you guys hitting the lines very well. So I'm gonna talk about the Cardinals right now.
Yep, I knew you were gonna.
Yes.
Give us your take on Kyle Murray. I mean, you were all hyped on him all season long, and he did nothing really till the last few minutes of that game.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there watching Red Zone, and first half goes by. I'm like, this is not looking good. This dude has -3 points. I'm like, oh geez, here we go. Because I have him in both the home leagues, and he got out of his nerves, whatever it was, in the fourth quarter. He started putting on. So Cardinals ran 89 plays, including overtime, which is a lot of plays. And Kyler Murray, he's going to be promising for fantasy owners, right? He's going to he's going to get better every single week. I feel like he had 570 air yards, and that's actually 21st most in a single game since 2012. And if you take out overtime, he had 443 air yards, which is still the 93rd percentile among all games charted since 2012. So Kyler Murray's going to be throwing the ball, and that's what you want to see. And he's a very accurate passer. Didn't look that accurate in the beginning. I think it's a little bit of nerves, rookie nerves going on the field the first time. Another thing I want to say is Larry Fitzgerald is going to be targeted when it matters, and rightfully so. So if you got him late in drafts, he's going to be a nice little consistent option, and I think a nice little safety belt for Kyler Murray. Christian Kirk is a buy low for me. Goes against the Ravens defense this week, so maybe even after this week another buy low. But he had 12 targets, and he was on the field 93% of the time, so he's going to be out there. He's getting targeted when it matters. Just didn't really connect a lot with Kyler Murray week 1. And then David Johnson, I've been talking up all offseason, and it looks really, really promising. He's gotten some good usage week 1. And Scott Barrett pointed out, David Johnson lined up as a wide receiver 15 times in week 1. Only once in all of 2018 did a running back line up as a wide receiver over 15 times, and that was Kamara week 1 of last year. And then last season, in total, David Johnson only lined up as a wide receiver 16 times. So he's only 1 time away from breaking last season. And then back in 2016, when he's the number 1 running back, he lined up as wide receiver 182 times, which was 11.4 times per game. So it's looking really, really promising for David Johnson. And it was going to be a little bit underwhelming, and he should have scored on a 7-yard touchdown, but he went out of bounds. So he acknowledged it after the game, but he's ready, and he caught the touchdown, 27-yard touchdown, and ran a nice little route and had 87% snap share. So he's back, and I'm very, very happy to say it. I'm excited to see what David Johnson's going to do this year, and I'm excited for the whole Cardinals offense because I'm really invested into him in fantasy. But I'm excited.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good like he did a couple years ago. So
yeah. And now,
well, I just hope Kyle Murray might have been a little nervous or whatever. I think he'll get better too. I mean,
I can
so
see him.
I'm not really worried about them much.
The air yards are really telling my opinion. He's going to air the ball out, and I love that. So my quarterback's going to have more attempts.
Yeah, he got a lot of balls batted down at the line of scrimmage too.
He got sacked by his own offensive lineman.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to get to this next game. I'm going to mainly let Dad, you're going to talk about it with Dan because Cowboys versus Giants. The takeaways from this one, I'll have the winning side start. So Cowboys fan Dan, what do you got to say about this game and how you think about Kellen Moore's debut?
When it comes to fantasy football, I try not to be biased here, but Kellen Moore was impressive. I mean, he implemented RPOs into the Dallas offense with Dak in the run game and the pass game. And Dak was awesome, perfect completion rating. I know Paul's going to mention the Giants defense as a concern, and he's right. But Dallas, a year ago, even if the Giants defense was bad under Coach Linehan, would find a way to muff it in the red zone. And they look great in the red zone. I mean, he got everybody involved, Gallup, Cooper, Cobb, both tight ends, the running backs. The Dallas offense is scary. They got to stay healthy and just keep improving each week. But from a fantasy football perspective, I think it was great to see Cooper not have any issues with his foot. Cobb was relevant. The tight ends participated, but I think Cooper and Gallup are the guys you really want to watch. And Zeke came out healthy. That was another concern with missing all of camp. So they look really good. That's the Cowboys end. Paul, I'll let you cover the Giants side of it.
Well, on your note too on the Cowboys, I mean, their offense looks very good. Their defense is okay. Prescott is fighting for a new contract, and he's going to get it after that performance. I mean, he was 25 of 32. He threw for 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, each one to a different receiver. Right? Randall Cobb scored, Witten scored, Blake Jarwin scored, and Cooper scored. So you should be confident with him as your QB moving forward. I mean, I got him in the league as my second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league. I got no problem starting him every week. I think their offense is very good. On the other side of the ball, I mean, Barkley looked all right. He broke one free for 59 yards, like the second play of the game. Other than that, I mean, our defense sucks. Eli looked all right. When we took that 7-0 lead, I was so happy. I'm like, oh, here we go. They're going to turn this into a game. And then I got nothing. So the only positive thing from here is Eli's got nobody to throw to really except for Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram had 11 receptions for 116 yards, 1 touchdown on 14 targets. So that's not bad. He only missed 3 balls, right? I think he looks like he could break into that top tier of tight ends. Now, I know it's week 1, but the Giants have no one else to throw the ball to. He's going to be super involved in this offense. He has to. They have to throw the ball to somebody. Shepard's going to be out this week. Tate is out, so you're going to look at some of them other guys to try to fill in. So he's going to be looking for Ingram a lot. So it's up to him whether he can get into that. I know I'm stretching it a little bit, but he could be a top-tier tight end.
Yeah, for sure. Targets are there, and he looked good. So you mentioned Shepard missing time. Tate's not going to be there. Now, the next game I want to talk about is Chargers-Colts, and this week we know that Hunter Henry's not going to be playing. Mike Williams may be in doubt. So this game, Eckler looked the part. I think that's the big talk about this whole entire game is Austin Eckler. 18 touches, 154 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I think you're not going to see him have 3 touchdowns again, but with this news about Hunter Henry being out and Mike Williams possibly being out, I think Eckler just gets more targets. And he played 75% of his snaps compared to Justin Jackson's 25%. So people saying Justin Jackson getting some work, I don't really see it. And Austin Eckler is going to be a top 10 running back until Melvin Gordon gets back, I think. And I don't even have a problem.
I was saying that all of preseason, and people were laughing at me. Like, even when I took him in some rounds in the 5th, 6th round, I mean, I took him over guys like Henry, Mack. That might have been a mistake taking him over Mack, but I did take him over there, and I justified why I did. And he made me look good here after week 1.
He did. Any other takeaways from the Colts side of the ball, Dad?
Marlon Mack looked good. I mean, he had 25 rushes for 174 yards, I think, a touchdown. It appears he's more valuable than the fantasy experts predicted with the absence of Luck, because they said as soon as Luck went down, everybody goes down. Well, let me tell you, he looked good. And so did T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton looked good with Luck being gone. So he had 8 receptions for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns on 9 targets. So that's pretty good. It's pretty impressive for Indianapolis on a luckless offense.
Yeah, people were doubting Marlon Mack, but at the end of the day, an offensive line that's that good and it's just going to create these big gaps, and he can run through them. So Marlon Mack looks good. But Dan, what's your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, I think you have 2 really good football teams. So from a fantasy football perspective, I wouldn't be, shying away from either of these teams. The Colts minus Luck, T.Y. Hilton still looked like T.Y. Hilton. He was excellent. Devin Funches got injured. So if you're looking at a pickup this week, Paris Campbell could be a hot take. Maybe Deion Kane, picks it up. Marlon Mack looked great. And then from the Chargers side, again, you're right on there with Eckler, both of you guys. I just say don't write off Justin Jackson yet. Like you said, Justin, Eckler's probably not going to get 3 touchdowns every game. Jackson averaged 9.5 a carry and had the same amount of yards on the ground. The problem he doesn't get the receptions that Eckler has. So maybe in a non-PPR league, or you just need some running back depth, don't lose sight of Justin Jackson. And Mike Williams got injured, we found out today, along with Hunter Henry. So, who else steps up in that offense? Maybe Travis Benjamin.
Yeah, I think Keenan Allen's value goes up too. I mean, he had a great game too. 8 of 10 targets for 123 yards and a touchdown. I think he's going to get more looks now with them other guys.
Yeah, he's
out,
going to get his,
Yeah, I mean, somebody else is going to have to step up. Like Dan said, maybe Travis Benjamin's. I mean, someone's going to have to step up and catch the ball.
Yeah. Now, speaking about stepping up, next game I'll talk about those Eagles versus the Redskins, and Terry McLaurin looks good. He's 93% of the snaps, can be a full-time player. He also had a 73-yard touchdown he would have had if it didn't get overthrown, but he looked good, not just like a deep threat. He's 200 plus pounds. He's got a good 4.33, I think 40, and he's the waiver wire target I was getting in most of my leagues, and I'm happy I got him in the important leagues. But he put up a 7-target, 5-catch, 125, and one stat line against the Eagles. So, a little pass-heavy script, but I like Terry McLaurin. I think Geis, it sucks to see Geis can't really stay healthy, but Adrian Peterson fired him out. Chris Thompson, he's going to be a PPR back. He had 6 targets on the final drive, though, out of his 10. So don't let that 10-target stat line be like, whoa, every single game, because he had 6 of them on the final drive. And then on the Eagles side of the ball, Deshaun Jackson, once again, those revenge games. He loves those revenge games. So he got his revenge game against the Redskins, and he went off, and I lost in a league because I had to go against him, which sucks because I feel like every single time Deshaun Jackson goes off, I go against him, and it's just always the way it is. But Miles Sanders, buy low. Buy low on Miles Sanders. He had a 21-yard touchdown called back by a holding on J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He also led the Philadelphia Eagles in snaps. He had 48% snap share, and the second closest was Darren Sproles at 31%. Jordan Howard only played 23% of snaps. And he also ran the most routes. He ran 16 routes out of the backfield or even lining up. So Miles Sanders, buy low. I've been talking about him all offseason, and I'm still standing by it. It's going to be Miles Sanders season sooner rather than later, so get him while you can. Dan, what about you? What do you think about this game with your division rivals?
Yeah, well, Paulo agree. Anyone who is playing the Eagles, we're rooting for them, even if they're the Redskins. I don't like the Eagles, but how bad is the Eagles secondary to give up 380 yards to Case Keenum and the Redskins?
Yeah.
So I'll be, looking to play receivers versus the Eagles secondary moving forward. You mentioned McLaren. That was a nice little surprise. He's a guy to look out for. Chris Thompson. I think the Redskins are going to be playing from behind all season. So I'm not really too confident in Adrian Peterson unless it's a game that they have a chance in. Outside of that, Darren Sproles is a possible pickup. He was involved a little more than I thought. 9 carries for 47 yards, and he had some catches as well. So he's
still pretty fast too for a guy in probably his last season that he's going to play. He's so fast it's not even funny.
Justin, I like Miles Sanders also, but are you worried about it being a 3-headed monster there?
Nope, not at all. I think sooner rather than later it's going to be the Miles Sanders show, and that week 1 being a rookie and getting already the lead in snap share, I like that, and I think it's only going to go up from here, and I'm excited to see what the future holds.
Be keeping an eye on that, Justin.
I'm hoping for it. I'm speaking it into existence. Some LeVar Ball tactics right there.
I like it.
What about you, Dad? Any takeaway real quick from this game?
I'll just quickly on Deshaun Jackson. I've been praising him all preseason again. Another guy who made me look good with my prediction, moving to the Eagles. And I think he's got a higher floor now this season because Wentz is his QB. I mean, he had 154 yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 targets. He's also known as a boom-bust player. Well, he wasn't a bust this week, was he?
Question.
Yeah.
I think you had him in a listener league, but I want to know what the outcome of your match was with Deshaun Jackson in your lineup.
I lost. What else can I say? I mean, I don't blame you because I was riding you good last year. So now it's your turn. That was a good one. I did have him in our home league though, and he produced well for me there. I won by almost 100 points in our home league.
You had him in a home league?
I think I did.
No, Waleed had him.
Oh, I don't know. Whatever.
You had I don't know who you had, but you did win. You
I had
scored a lot
somebody
of
who
points.
scored. I mean, I'm in too many leagues. That's the problem.
Can't keep track of them. Next game, I thought was a shocker, and Dad, I think you thought it was a shocker too. I'll kick it off with you. Vikings-Falcons. What happened to your number one offense, man? They got pooped on by the Vikings 28-12. What happened with Matt Ryan? What happened with the Falcons offense? What's your takeaway from this game?
I've been praising the Falcons, the number one offense all preseason. That's one that let me down. This whole offense was terrible. I mean,
it's 1 week.
Sorry,
it's 1
Stompy,
week.
but you're all on Freeman. Freeman was a bust, dude. 8 rushes for 19 yards. So you were not right on him. Granted, it's only week 1, Stompy. We'll give you Carson, but we're going to have to hammer you on Freeman. I mean, Freeman owners have to be left disappointed after the offseason hype on him coming back from surgery, saying he's going to be good, he's going to be the bell cow, blah, blah, blah. In fact, the whole Falcons offense was disappointing, okay? On the other side of the ball, Dalvin Cook, 21 rushes, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions for 9 yards on 2 targets, so he caught both of them. He is exactly who we thought he was. He's an animal. I mean, he's so good. His change of pace, everything. He's just fantastic. It's clear the Vikings were going to run their offense through Cooks. Kirk Cousins, you should be worried about this, Justin, being you're a Diggs fan. Kirk Cousins only had 10 passes. 10
Well,
passes.
it's not going to happen every game.
So, listen, should you be concerned that Diggs caught as many passes as Delvin Cook? Come on now. Your man, Diggs, Delvin Cook, same amount of catches. Let's hear it.
I didn't even think Thielen or Diggs was a wide receiver 1 this year. I had them both around like 14 or 15. I'm staying by that. 10 pass attempts, you can't really do much about that. 2 targets, 2 catches for Diggs, 3 targets for Thielen, 3 catches for Thielen. And then the other 2 went to Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook looked good, like you said, but I'm buying low on Thielen and Diggs because 10 pass attempts, if people are going to overreact and be scared about it, then go get them.
I think Thielen's the guy to own there. I wouldn't even worry about Diggs.
Wow, you just hate Diggs. What about Dan? What's your thoughts on this 10 pass attempt game and the whole Vikings and Falcons offense?
Oh, Minnesota, is really good at stopping the run. So Freeman might be another buy low. I think he's still going to have a good season. Atlanta does have some O-line issues, and Minnesota took advantage of that. Hooper still had a good game. Julio scored. I think Atlanta's going to be okay. Dalvin Cook looks awesome. He's solidified, him entering top 5 status in running backs. He's on the rise. Diggs, I was thinking of you, Justin. I know we spent probably weeks as I was trying to get Amari Cooper off you last year, and I was high on Diggs. He was a wide receiver 1 for me last year, but the closer I watch Minnesota, I have him as a 1B to Adam Thielen. I think Thielen's their number 1. So both offenses will be okay. No major takeaways other than Dalvin Cook's the real deal.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Stompy, Freeman again, he also made a huge mistake.
What?
He lost a fumble near the red zone when it was still a close game, Stompy. Not a good game for your man, Freeman. Sorry.
And Ito Smith played 50% of snaps. Yeah. That's not a good sign either. Mr. Devonta Freeman's a workhorse. And then all 4 of Devonta Freeman's targets came in the 4th quarter.
I mean, Atlanta's going to get better. I'm not worried about them either.
And so is Minnesota.
I'm not worried
Minnesota's
about Matt Ryan, Julio.
Attempts.
I'm not worried about anybody there. Like I said, it's week 1. They're going to bounce back.
I view Thielen as a 1A to 1B with Diggs too, but in Dynasty, Diggs is my favorite player, so I can't not trade to get him. And eventually in time, he's going to take over as the 1. And I just hope that they get a new offensive coordinator in before due time when they realize this running the ball thing won't work out all the time. Next game I want to go to, Dad, Kansas City, Jacksonville. Big takeaways. Nick Foles looked good until he unfortunately is out for the year, but Sammy Watkins is going to get targeted when Tyreek Hill's not there. And I think McCole Hardman is a sneaky place we can DFS, taking over to that Tyreek Hill role. And if you're on the field with Patrick Mahomes on the same team, you're going to do well. And then the one takeaway I want to put on the Jacksonville side is Leonard Fournette, second most opportunity share out of all running backs this week behind, I believe it was Christian McCaffrey. So he looks good. And then people are going to panic on Damian Williams. Damian Williams may have been less efficient than LaShawn McCoy, but Williams dominated the snaps and high-value touches with 8 high-value touches to McCoy's 2. And then when the Chiefs got down to the 1, Williams got a tip pass on jet motion, which he didn't convert, but he took an inside handoff for a touchdown. So he's handing the passing down, he's getting the goal line work, and he's still going to be very productive. So I'm not worried about Damian Williams, and, that's my takeaways from that game. What about you, Dan? What do you got to say about this game?
This was the game. This was on the center big screen TV at 1 o'clock. Nick Foles was my pick of the week, and I had a real good DFS week, and that was despite having Nick Foles in many lineups. So I was happy to see he performed well when he was there. DJ Shark looked really good. He was a sleeper of mine going into the season, so I was happy to see Shark. I think they tried to get Dede going, but Kansas City, the little defense they did play, they defended Dede Westbrook decently well. And Sammy Watkins is on the flip side, is a guy I was high on going into the offseason, and he exploded. So I was thrilled to see that. Shady McCoy looked good as the game went on, so I think he's definitely going to be one to watch with Damian Williams. I think they got a two-headed monster there. Patrick Mahomes is still awesome, even if he has a sprained ankle going into this week. I just don't think you can stop him in that offense. So one concern about Jaguars is I think they're a very undisciplined team. Miles Jack got ejected from the game. There's a lot of fighting. It was a very chippy game. Fournette almost got ejected again, like he did last year. I think it's going to be very hard for them to stay competitive. There's not much depth on that roster, and now they're relying on Gardner Minshew for about 8 weeks. So they'll be interesting to watch, but I'm concerned.
What about you, Dad?
I mean, hats off to Tom from our home league. He's been praising Sammy Watkins, and what a time for him to do it with Hill going out. So this game was on the red zone, and they were just showing it over and over again because Mahomes was just on fire. I mean, he's back. He lit the world on fire again. 25 of 33, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns. The undisputed number 1 quarterback in fantasy. He's the most electric player on the field. I mean, even without Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins had 9 receptions, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns on 11 targets. Overall, the number 1 fantasy producer of the week by far. Not even close. He should remain a top option with Hill missing some time. So he'll take full advantage of that opportunity.
If I could add a Sammy Watkins, and I had him in some DFS lineups last week, which was nice. Last year, I remember Dabo Sweeney said he's just a star waiting to happen, and I really think it's health. You know, obviously we know he's been hurt every year, but he just looked awesome. They weren't flukish touchdowns. He ran good routes, was getting open. I think he's a legitimate number 1 wide receiver this year.
Yeah, I think it's very, very possible. He looks the part, and he looked very, very good on Sunday. Game we're going to go to the next, and I'm not going to say much about it. Ravens just blew up Dolphins. Basically, start anyone going against the Dolphins because the Dolphins are very, very bad. Lamar Jackson looked good. We're going to skip that. Next one I want to go to is the Browns game. You can't take much away from it. Browns starting left tackle, Greg Robinson, kicked the dude in the helmet, got ejected. Backup left tackle came in, then got injured on the second play, so they put the right tackle at left tackle and put the backup right tackle in. So Baker's blind side just got obliterated.
Why don't you just tell us how bad your favorite team is, kid?
Odell Beckham's going to get targeted.
Odell Beckham
is going to be
you
elite.
got off the Giant bandwagon. You went to that damn team. Now tell me how good they are. Tell me.
Give it to him, Paul. Give it to him.
You got the Odell the Trader wearing a stupid watch on a football field.
Oh,
what is that about? Who wears a watch playing football, pro football?
Odell.
Let's talk about your quarterback. Go ahead. The floor is yours. I
just said the offensive line is a concern, but
the Browns suck. It's all you. Go ahead.
The offensive line is going to be a concern. A loss is a loss. Tennessee whooped us bad, and I'm hoping
bad. Holy cow! I don't think anyone predicted that one.
I'm hopeful for this week. We got the Jets, 2.5 point favorites. They're going to win by 10+ points. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I mean, Tennessee looked good.
I mean, yeah, they look good. I mean,
Mariota looked good.
Yeah, give me one single point. Give me a single point about this game.
Ryan Tannehill about week 3 or 4, but hey,
give me the 1 point you want to take away from this game, Dad. Either side of the ball. We're trying to get these last couple games quick.
AJ Brown here, guys. I was a Corey Davis truther, but I'm really starting to believe he's the Titans' number 1 receiver.
AJ Brown did look good, made the most of his opportunities, route running, star in the passing game.
I'll give you one stat on your favorite team, and we can move on.
Okay.
Browns, overrated. Move on. All the talent in the world. Move on.
All right, Bills, Jets.
They're gonna win the Super Bowl.
I never said that.
Move on.
I never said that.
Not you. People were saying.
Yeah, no. All right. Bills, Jets. My one takeaway from this game. Only one from each game now.
I could wait for that game. By the way, I was waiting for you to get to that game.
The Bills, Jets game or the Browns?
Even though I'm 0-1 against listener league.
The Browns are also 0-1.
I was waiting for that one.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna be 1-1 soon.
I'm gonna start wearing a watch to bed. I'm gonna wear a watch 24 hours a day.
Why?
I have no idea.
Bills, Jets. One takeaway: Le'Veon Bell, 100% snap share. This guy's gonna be used. He's gonna be a workhorse role, and I think moving forward, no doubts about Le'Veon Bell. Dan, what's your takeaway from this game?
Yeah.
My takeaway: 2 number 1 receivers in that game to watch all year. I was high on Jamison Crowder going in. 15 catches. He didn't let me down. I wish he had 1 more yard for 100 so he could get the bonus. And John Smokey Brown, he's a heck of a receiver. I think
I got both of them. And the Bills defense is for real.
Yeah.
They're 2-point favorites against the Giants.
You did, Ed?
I don't know if we lost Paul there. I think Smokey Brown's going to toast the Giants next week.
Giants this week. Going down. That's not happening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Giants Smokey Brown's going to toast the Giants next week. I agree.
Giants are 2-point underdogs at home. Come on. Throw the money on them.
All right, we got 2 more games to go through. Rams, Panthers. Malcolm Brown didn't really play a lot of snaps, but he had a lot of good touches compared to what Todd Gurley had. Todd Gurley, got in the stretch, got the ball a little bit more. I'm a little concerned about Todd Gurley. You didn't really see him using the red zone as much. and I figured that was going to happen. So he may get used, but he didn't really have any high-value touches, whereas Malcolm Brown got a lot of goal line touches, and he had all of his came on drives where the Browns got all the running backs touches. But I like Malcolm Brown going forward, and I think he's only going to gain value and Gurley keeps appreciating in value. What about you, Dan? What do you say about this game?
I mean, I think Gurley looked healthy. That was a positive. But to your point, Malcolm Brown's definitely cutting into his work, so you got to be cautious there. And on the other side, Christian McCaffrey was my number one in all of fantasy football going into the season, and he solidified that again. I hope Cam continue to improve and then see more DJ Moore, and I know a lot of people had Samuel. So, the better Cam does, I think it's better for the offense. But love McCaffrey.
Yeah, I got McCaffrey in 2 leagues, with the one with the second pick, one with the third pick. I didn't want the first pick because I would have taken Barkley. I would have taken Barkley all day. I'm glad I had the second and third pick because McCaffrey is just unbelievable. Unbelievable what he does. And on the other side of the ball, I'm a little
Damn, this dude's connection.
worried about Brandon Cooks and Samuels.
You're good.
Week one, Cooks only had 2 receptions and Samuels had 3. So
yeah,
should we be worried? I don't know. It's week 1.
No, we're fine. Brandon Cooks had a 13.3 average at the target, which is promising, so he's good by a low target. And then last game I want to go to Thursday night game. They had the awful offensive game. Bears, Packers, Devontae Adams. He's going to be fine. Buy low on Devontae Adams. Buy low on David Montgomery. And Allen Robinson looks good.
I took a beating in this game. I had on different teams. I had Aaron Jones. I had David Montgomery. I had Aaron Jones and Montgomery on the same team. That hurt me because Jones had 13 rushes for 39 yards. A huge disappointment. Along with Devontae Adams, I have him in another league. He was my number 1 wide receiver going into this year. 4 receptions for 36 yards. He's had 80 receiving yards or 1 touchdown in every single game last year. That was snapped here. He had a terrible game. I mean, it was a boring game to watch unless you like defense. If you like defense, it was a good game. And I'm surprised they didn't use Montgomery like they were talking about.
It's week 1.
He just had 6 rushes for 18 yards and 1 reception for 27.
Yeah, it's week 1 though. So what about your takes, Dan? What do you guys say about David Montgomery's outlook and just this whole game in general?
Yeah, maybe Montgomery, he's going to be a talented guy. I always get concerned when there's 3 running backs, so they still have that. But Cohen was kind of used as a slot receiver, so they're using him a little bit differently. But I think both offenses will be fine. I think Mitch Trubisky just missed some open reads, so hopefully he'll learn from game film and get better. Devontae Adams is definitely a star. The Packers' offense is going to be okay. I just don't know if it's going to be next week versus the Vikings. 2 weeks in a row, they get really tough defenses, and their offense is still finding themselves.
Yeah, so I think wait a week, then buy low on Devontae Adams 100% because Xavier Rhodes is going to be on him, and he doesn't really have great games against Xavier Rhodes. So,
what do you think of this real quick? I think it was our home league, Justin. I took Boykins in the last round. Did I say his name right? From
Boykin.
Baltimore. Well, I just got rid of him and got Geronimo Allison because somebody just dropped him.
Yeah, Bob dropped him.
I wouldn't have dropped him right now, right? Not in week 1.
Good pickup though.
Well, we hope so.
Yeah. So that's going to do it for our week 1 recap. Where can they find you on Twitter, Dan? And what are you doing right now in the fantasy industry? What are you up to?
Find me at LC_Dean. Always posting there on Twitter, trying to help the fans out. I'm at FF Statistics. If you're looking for see where guys are in the rankings, I'm providing player rankings for them each week. And I'm joining the Super Flexology gents on their podcast for a start-sit show weekly. I always struggle with that one. So, breaking into industry, I appreciate you guys having me today. It was just a blast talking with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, 100%.
We're glad you took time out of your schedule to be with us. It's fantastic. We're always looking for people to come on, so that was great.
Any last words, Dad?
Thank you.
Don't get too high on yourself, kid, because we're in 3 leagues together. There's still 2-4. There's still 5 more times we got to play against each other. So you got the early lead, 1-0. There's nothing I can do about that, but I'm coming.
Easy wins, dude.
You better be careful because I have a strong team in the home league.
Easy wins.
I have a strong team in the home league. And
wins.
You're going to go down in your own league. That's going to be even better.
Easy wins.
But I want to beat you in a subscriber league. That's where I want
you lost.
Yeah, I know I did.
And I got to beat Dan this weekend. We got a matchup. We'll give you guys the update on that. But if you guys are...
Get him, Dan. Beat him, Dan.
I got your back, Paul. I got you.
knock him back down to reality for me, please.
If you guys are new,
because it is fantasy.
If you guys are new, please subscribe to the podcast, and we'll see you guys next time.